She again asked for full senatorial courtesy and was granted it. So she has now constituted a 17-member commission. I am one of the members of that commission, and it is an amazingly diverse commission that she's put together in order to advise her. We come from every ward in the city. We are men, we are women, we're black, we're white, we're gay, we're straight, we're lawyers, we're non-lawyers. She has been very, very careful to make sure that that commission is as reflective of the rich tapestry of this district as she could possibly make it. And so our job is to receive applications for district court judges here in the District of Columbia, for the U.S. Attorney, for CSOSA, which is the Court Services and Offender Supervision Agency, and for the U.S. Marshals. And let me tell you, that's a lot of applications, particularly because there were a lot of folks who were waiting 8 long years to make those applications when President Obama came in. And it's a fairly lengthy application. I mean, you can look at it on the Congresswoman's website. You can call her office and get a copy of it. But it is a lengthy application to make sure that we see your writings, that we see your entire record. If you're a judge, that we see your opinions, that we get a full understanding of the work that you've done, and in recognition of the fact that it's a very kind of lengthy application to put together. I think the first commission did this, and we certainly do this. We interview every single person who applies. It's at least a 45-minute interview. Sometimes they go longer, even longer than an hour. And we were talking about the number of folks who kind of came out of the woodwork to apply, once President Obama came in. It's been a lot of work, but it has been among the most rewarding work I've done in my career. It's really kind of a magical thing to see how it works, because with that rich diversity on that commission, I find that most of the decisions we make are unanimous decisions. Which is incredible, and I think also speaks to the quality of these applicants. I mean, these folks who are coming before this commission are, the best of the best, of the highest quality. In terms of the kinds of things that we look for when the application is made to us and in the interview process, I think we almost kind of assume that these folks are going to have terrific resumes. They're going to have an amazing background. They're going to be committed. They're going to be passionate. But what I think we really try to do is to pierce through all of that to find temperament and judgment and the analytical process that folks go through. One of our favorite questions is to ask, if you get a matter that comes before you as a judge, that is, something that's never come before. That's a matter of first impression. What is the thought process, the analytic process you go through to determine what the law is when, frankly, there's not much law there as a precedent for you to look to? Another question that we love to ask, it goes to your judgment and your temperament, and how you've dealt with adversity and what kinds of mistakes you've made, how you dealt with those mistakes. All of those kinds of questions to really kind of pierce through the application to find out, does this person have, the judicial temperament and the chops, to make us proud as district residents if we put them on the bench. Once we are done with our job, namely interviewing all of these applicants, deciding who we're going to recommend to the Congresswoman, because again, this is not governed by statute. This is something that the Congresswoman created. It's an ad hoc commission in that way. Our job is merely to make recommendations to her, and then she, because she has the senatorial courtesy, makes the recommendations to the president. So we make our recommendations to her, and she goes through her own process where she will interview the names that we give her. She will look at the background checks. We do an extensive background check as well, including not just the FBI and IRS checks and the like, but we call all of the folks that are references in the application. We find others who have worked with them. We don't just talk to the people who the folks list on their application. But the Congresswoman goes through her process, and then she decides who she wants to send to the president. She submits those names to the president. There was some wrangling about whether or not she was to submit 3 names for a vacancy or just 1 name for a vacancy. I think ultimately she wound up submitting 3 names for each vacancy, but made it clear to the president, who she, of course, has a very good relationship with, who she wanted. And, of course, we would select 3 names for each vacancy to send to the Congresswoman for her consideration. But in the memo that we sent the Congresswoman, going through our research and what we found in the interview process, we were very careful to say who we think, is the best, of those 3. So far, we've had 4 vacancies, and the commission has done its work to send names to the Congresswoman for those 4 vacancies for district court judges. We, of course, as you all have probably read, sent the Congresswoman a name for U.S. Attorney, which she sent to the White House. We also have made our recommendations for CISOSA and also for the marshals. If you talk about amazing experiences, sitting through the interviews for U.S. Marshal have been among the most interesting interviews I've ever been in my life. I mean, these folks are a different breed of characters, and it's been really fun to talk with them. There are likely to be more vacancies. I was talking with Judge Huvelle before the panel, and I don't think that these 4 are going to be the only 4 that we see in the Obama administration. And of course, if the Obama administration is lucky enough to get a second term, there probably will be more even then. But in terms of disqualifiers, again, I think it really for us goes to, particularly because we are dealing with applicants who are at the highest, place in the profession, that there are real gradations here of how you determine who to choose. And I think it really goes to temperament, judgment, passion, analytic ability, really determining whether or not the person really wants to make this their life's work, and how they intend to approach it. Just like the local commission, the most interesting thing for me has been that politics never is discussed, never comes into the equation. I mean, I assume all of these folks are probably Democrats because they're all coming to apply, in a Democratic administration. But I don't know. It's never a question that's asked. Again, the commission itself is a bipartisan commission. Both Republicans and Democrats serve on the commission. So it really is very interesting to me that a process that really is so political when it leaves us, because once it gets to the Congress, as Judge Huvelle will tell you, it's an extraordinarily political process of getting that hearing before the committee and making sure that you have the votes lined up. The White House handles all of that, of course, for their nominees. We don't do that in the commission. But I would just encourage you, if you're thinking about applying for the federal court, again, there are no there's no kind of template. There's no cookie cutter. We aren't looking for just prosecutors. We aren't looking for for one kind of lawyer or another kind of lawyer. For us, like for the local commission, it's very important to see who's making recommendations on your behalf. And again, I think I completely agree with what was said, that quality is much better than quantity. We've had many applicants who have decided that they want to, kind of drown us in paper and have, folks call up every commissioner to say what a great, guy they are, what a great woman they are, and that sort of thing. We frankly kind of roll our eyes at that. We're looking for quality. We're looking for opposing counsel too, who say, I sat across the table from this person, and this person is a terrific lawyer and committed and passionate. We're looking for the public defender who writes a recommendation letter for the prosecutor. Those kinds of things really, really mean something. And we're also looking for the endorsements of groups like the Women's Bar Association. So again, I encourage you, take a look at the application. If you're interested, there are going to be more vacancies. Look at it. See if it's something that you think you might be interested in, and we would love to see you before the commission. I'll end there.
Thank you very much, and I think we've learned so much already, and I wanted to make sure that we were able to have time for questions from the audience. So I wanted to open it up for questions now, and that way we can probably go through some of the issues that have been brought up and maybe in a little more detail. So